guys need it. So this is the second presentation on estuaries, everyone. So it's going to go quick today. This is the second part of estuaries. And today I'm going to talk about how we manage estuarine ecosystems. So the last lecture we spoke about was looking at the complexity or the dynamism of estuaries. Okay? It's come through, great. Is there a light switch here? Where's the light switch? All right, let's keep going. So this is the second part of the estuarine lecture that you need. And please be aware that everything including lakes is in your test that you guys are going to write on Thursday. Your test on Thursday is going to be in the same venue. Okay, this time I'm going to present extra papers for these phantom students who keep arriving. Okay, that's fine. So estuaries, what is the definition? We spoke about it last time, but this is the formal definition. It's a body of water that is connected to the sea. It is permanently or periodically open to the sea. They are tidal, and their reach is determined by the rise and fall of the water levels at spring tides and when the water course is open to the sea. Remember, I also commented last time on floods. When you have these, or not floods, when you have these storms at sea, the sea surge from the storm at sea can raise the estuary by about 5 meters. So we look at the 5-meter contour line as well to give you an idea of what the potential mixing point is of estuaries. That can go very far upstream. Okay, estuaries are highly productive, provide a number of important ecological functions, and yield significant benefits to people. A lot of people depend on estuaries. They are, however, sensitive to human impacts, and this deals with the proposed, okay, this is the summary from the Environmental Management Coastal Act. Okay. So this is the user-friendly guide to Integrated Coastal Management Act of South Africa, and you can see which is different to the other water resource management presentations that we've presented, is that the estuaries are considered as a part of the resource-directed measures, just like rivers are, where you determine the class, and you determine the RQOs, and you determine the ecological reserve, and you get those. But in addition, for estuaries, the Integrated Coastal Management Act by the Department of Environmental Affairs is also has established these requirements for the management of estuaries. And remember, the difference between the Water Act and the Environmental Affairs, the Environmental Management Act, is that the Water Act focuses on use and tries to regulate use, where the Environmental Management Act focuses on the resource and the biodiversity itself. So they're trying to protect and manage the resource and habitat diversity itself. Estuaries, and this comes from the Integrated Coastal Management Act, they must be managed in a coordinated and efficient way in accordance with the National Estuarine Management Protocol, and that protocol is something that's reviewed here. I'm going to show you the different part of the plan in a moment, which must be developed by the Minister. So this now refers to the Minister of Environmental Affairs. Okay. In conjunction with the Minister responsible for water affairs within 4 years of the commencement of the Act. Summary of the National Estuarine Management Protocol requirements as well as the estuarine management plans are shown below, which is these. So what is the purpose of the estuarine management protocol? To determine a strategic vision. Remember, there's a lot of overlap. So we're looking for the vision and the objectives for achieving that sustainable balance between the use and protection of estuaries again. Okay. To set out standards and guidelines for estuary management, define how estuary management responsibilities must be carried out by organs of state, who must do what. And I just want you to be able to understand what does the protocol require. Okay, so this list. Establish minimum requirements and identify the people responsible for the preparation of estuarine management plans and procedures, and I'm going to show you one of the plans after this. Specify a review process for estuarine management plans to ensure compliance with the Act, and publish the protocol for public comment as determined by Section 53 of Chapter 6. Okay, so what is the purpose of the National Estuarine Management Protocol? You must learn this. Okay, must I say that again? You must learn this. Next, what are the requirements for the estuary management plans? So there's a protocol, and as a part of the protocol is the estuary management plan, a plan that you need to carry out for each estuary. The management protocol refers to a region, that how the estuaries and who's responsible for the management and who must do what, but the plan itself must be developed for each ecosystem, each estuary. What are the requirements? Consistency with the protocol, consistency with the coastal management program, consistency with applicable provincial coastal management program. So you can see what this is, these requirements are suggesting that the plan must be consistent with the national plans. It must be consistent with the district and their management plans for the coast and the estuaries. It must be consistent with provincial management agendas and management plans. That is like Isabelo KZN Wildlife, Cape Nature, those type of provincial conservation bodies. It must be consistent with them. Management and public participation as well. That's not so serious. So the designated estuarine management authority, why is it specified? Because depending on the estuary being located within a national reserve, protected area, or being positioned on the boundary between two provinces, for example, the management authority of the estuary and also the significance of the estuary can differ. It can be the responsibility of the municipality, can be the responsibility of the district, it can be responsible of the provincial environmental governing body, or the Isabelo KZN Wildlife. Do you have a problem, ladies? What's up? What's the question? What's the question up there? See, there's so few of you. I can watch all of you nicely. Hopefully you guys come back for your advanced diploma. Then we can really work together. Yeah. Be responsible for the development. Okay, so these different groups have got different responsibilities. And so the estuary has to be actually allocated. The authority of it must be allocated to somebody. Because what happens in South Africa is, if it's not allocated to you, what are you going to do? You're going to say, it's not my problem. It's province. It's not my problem. It's district. It's not my problem. It's Isabelo. And that's not allowed. So if you look at the generic framework for the determination and implementation of the plans, you need to know these two components as well. So the framework, and this is a picture on the right of the framework, you have an objective setting phase. You always have this phase of what are the management objectives, what are the requirements. You always have this phase of developing plans, and you always have this phase of implementing the plan. Okay, so this phase in blue, so I'm referring to these three phases over here. Hey? You've got these three phases. This objective setting phase, auditing phase is really what's been done in the past. So you must review what information is available. Biological data, physical data, socioeconomic information. But how have people been using the estuary? What is their economic value? That's going to help you make decisions. With that information, you go through this objective setting phase, and it's during that phase that you decide what is it we care about, where are these important features, what does that balance look like? Is this estuary going to be allocated more for protection, or is this estuary going to be allocated more for use? And then you determine the plans, you determine the zonation plan for the estuary, you decide what can happen in different areas, and then you have an implementation phase. So that's these are the different phases of the estuary management plan. What's important for you guys is really to differentiate between this situation assessment phase, which provides a description of the biological, physical, social aspects of the estuary, and reviews the management, use, protection, conservation scenarios, and the management plan itself. And that plan includes the vision. What is the vision for this estuary? You make a decision. What is this estuary going to be? And I'm going to show an example now. What are the strategic objectives? What is the management strategy? What is the zonation plan? And what are the management action plans of the estuary? So that's very simple. That's in essence what you need to know. Here is an example of how it works. So as you know, guys, we've been involved with the development of estuary management plans as well. And as a part of the estuary management plan for the Tugela River, or the Tugela estuary, we developed this plan. And so the plan was established in the context of the Coastal Management Act. And you guys, I've already showed you, this brings us back to the Estuarine Management Protocol, the National Estuarine Management Protocol, which is a part of the Coastal Management Act. So that's the legal framework for why estuary management plans are developed, and it was the same for this one. So within the context of those management plans, Management refers to the continuous and dynamic process that unites all sectors of society. And I think what's important here is that we recognize the importance of society, multiple stakeholders, and the different requirements of the acts of the plan. Okay, what is the goal? The goal for management is sustainable development, which takes into account social, economic, and environmental needs. Again, we're always talking about this balance between use and protection. When you guys are writing your test or your exam, when you think about it in the future, the purpose for resource management, whether it's 101, 102, or 201, and 402, it's to make sure that you understand that there is a need to get this balance between the use and protection of ecosystems right. That's always what we're striving to do. And for this study, we had two components again, the situation assessment and the management plan. And if I go back, I want to really highlight that it's this part, situation assessment and what it requires, and the management plan and what it requires. Okay, so this is a summary of the Tugela Estuary, the lower Tugela River and the Tugela Estuary. So this is a review of what we know about the system, and I can present it to you in this way. So we've been working in the study area since my group in particular, since the early 2000s, but we have a lot of information available to us from about the late 1980s. And why? Because in 1984 there was a massive cyclone, and the cyclone resulted in a big flood, and that Des Moines flood caused a lot of havoc in the study area. That's just a picture there on the top right of one of the river areas that was completely hammered. And if you look at the use situation now for the estuary, we have already identified the different industries, wastewater treatment works, Sappi paper and pulp mill. We know there are upstream users, agriculture, there's lots of local agricultural issues, and we know that the lower area, all these local impacts then move into the estuary and impact on the estuary itself as well. So what do we know? We know that in 2003, the target for the ecological state of the estuary was set at a BC ecological category. It was set, it wasn't gazetted. It wasn't gazetted as law because the RQO process and other processes were not available yet, but it was gazetted. I just want to make sure the guy's not coming. Okay. So what's been happening? Well, since 1990, the state of the estuary has been declining. The state of the lower river and the estuary is constantly being declining. So this is a bugger up, guys, where we know what the target is. The target is a BC category. And if you look at the state, up until the early 2000s, we were close. We were in the C category. But it's just been getting worse and worse and worse. Okay. And you guys must particularly look at this blue line, the light blue line. And you can see here, around 2015, when we had the big drought, it almost dropped into an unsustainable state. So this is quite serious for us. It's quite a bugger up. So we really need to establish this plan and implement it. Okay? What else is going on? There's a new bulk transfer scheme that's been implemented. And then we were a part of revising the reserve and also working on the estuary management plan. We've done a lot of work in the area, guys. So this is the Tugela River on the left, and next to it is the Matakula River, and they've been included in the estuaries because they are so close and the land use activities overlap. So we know what is the major driving stresses. It's urban areas. We know that abstraction is a major issue. We know that industries are major issues. We know which are the most vulnerable of the different ecosystems, and we know which of the endpoints are most vulnerable to change as well. So we have all the information we need. We just have to do it now. Somebody just has to come together and do it. So what we've proposed in this plan is exactly that, is what would we need to get the management right. This is a photograph on the top left of Des Moines, the Des Moines cyclone in 1984, and what it looked like. So these cyclones do come across South Africa. In fact, we haven't had one in many years, and it's due. So I think we'll be getting one again. On the top right-hand side is a picture of the bridge that was destroyed during the floods. And these pictures on the bottom is here just to show you how the Tugela River is not only important in the estuary for the maintenance of biodiversity and habitats on land, inshore. They also have a very close relationship with sediment processes offshore. And because of the way that we've been managing and using the Tugela River, we've affected the estuary, and we've also affected the marine environment close to the Tugela. And because of the way that we've stopped sediments flowing into the sea, we're actually causing major issues with erosion around the Tugela mouth and around the communities that are established around Bilito, those properties north of KZN. So when you do these management plans, although we're interested in protecting the estuary, we have to consider the relationship between the estuary and the freshwater environment, and the relationship between the estuary and the marine environment, okay, which has been quite serious in the catchment. So then the management plan, what did it involve? First the vision, and it's quite easy. What does the vision look like? So the vision for the estuaries in South Africa, the national vision, is that all estuaries should be managed in a sustainable way that benefits current and future generations. The Mandini Coastal Management Program has its own vision. This is a district municipal vision, which describes that the estuaries or the coastline is unique and it's conserved. It should be conserved, and an ecosystem that offers spatial equity, access and opportunities for all. And then the Tugela, the specific vision for the Tugela is that it's a mighty Tugela estuary. Do you know why it's called mighty Tugela? Because that's what Tugela means. Tugela means ferocious. So the vision is supposed to embrace that view of the Tugela River being a ferocious river that can change rapidly. So the mighty Tugela estuary is a unique living ecosystem of national importance that provides a home for and benefits all user groups through conservation, sustainable use and development. Okay, so now we're just going through those different requirements of an estuary management plan. So guys, you need to know these are the different requirements, and you need to have an idea of what the type of requirements would look like. So these are the type of things that you would propose for an estuary management plan of this type. So these are the different strategic objectives that were established for the estuary management plan, and you can see that it's broadened, it's unpacked so that we know what to do. But I just want to go through the different topics. We need to manage water quality and quantity. We need to conserve the ecological processes and diversity. We need to have institutional and management arrangements. We need to have a sustainable plan for livelihoods and community. We need to manage land use and infrastructure. We want to promote and manage ecotourism. And we want to promote and maintain education of the estuary, awareness and research opportunities. And then if you look at the next part, it just explains how to do it, okay, which you guys can go through. It's not really so serious for now. Then the management plan, the zonation plan, and you can see in the zonation plan we've proposed these different areas of the estuary, and if you look at what these different areas mean, some of them got access to vehicles, a lot of them don't. Some of them you can use watercraft, some of them you can do different recreational activities, some you can fish in, some are primarily for protection. Okay, and the idea is to, if you look at the plan, you can decide where different things can be done. There's a delineation between the north bank and the south bank, so that the north bank has got some use allocations allocated to it, but the south bank is completely restricted. So you need an idea of what are the different types of zones that can be established for estuaries, and what are the different activities you can do in those estuaries. And then finally, if you look at the different action plans that you can establish for these management plans, we want to restore the estuary, we want to conserve the processes and the biodiversity, and for each of those different strategic, objectives, there is an action plan. What do we need to do? So we need to improve and conserve the estuary. We need to determine what the processes are, how they're doing, how to manage and conserve those processes. We need to look at who is managing the estuary, and the idea was also to appoint an advisory forum, finance the forum, make sure that the forum can implement the plan, for example. Regulate resource use, extractive resource use, and regulate non-extractive resource use like boat and recreation activities, for example. Develop and implement infrastructure and land use activities, or maintain or manage it. Develop and promote, establish a vision for ecotourism and recreation, and then also promote and increase awareness. Okay, that is the shortest, quickest, easiest lecture I have presented.